And now, live from downtown Amarillo, Texas, this is the Amarillo Pioneer Podcast. Here's your host and the editor of the Amarillo Pioneer, Thomas Warren.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to the Amarillo Pioneer Podcast again, and we're excited to be speaking with another candidate who's running in the May 6th election. This race will be for the Amarillo ISD Board of Trustees. 3 seats up this year, and a large field of candidates running actually this year, and I think that's partially due to just how important everyone has realized the school boards are to our communities in these elections, how important these elections are. But the candidate we're speaking with tonight is Robin Leeah, and before we get into a lot of the issues and why Robin is running, I first just want to say, Robin, thanks so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. And how are you this evening?
Sure, I'm good. I'm doing good.
Well, thanks again for speaking with us. For people who are not familiar with you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into the race for the Board of Trustees.
Okay, I'm Robin Leeah, and I was born and raised here in Amarillo, and lived here all my life. I went to Avondale Elementary, and then also to Sam Houston Middle School. And then my parents actually pulled me out and put me in a private school. And I went to private school 7th through 12th grade. And then I went on to Texas Tech and got a degree from Tech. So probably the, and I'm married. I have 2 children. I have 2 daughters. I have a 19-year-old daughter who's currently at Texas Tech. She's in her sophomore year. And I have a 15-year-old daughter who is a freshman at Tascosa High School. And so I would say what really got me into wanting to run for school board is it's kind of been a 2-year process. During COVID, which was a nightmare, I feel like, for the kids and school and everything. I remember whenever they made the kids, when we went back to school, my youngest was in the 7th grade and my oldest was a senior, and they required them to wear masks to school. And I just remember the first day of school, my youngest coming out and just crying when she got in the car because she just absolutely hated the mask. And so that kind of lit a little bit of a fire in me. I didn't like the mandating of the mask. I wanted it to be an option. So, in that school year, I guess it was about March or April, that kind of really started a conversation with parents in the school board about the mask. It was a really big deal. And like I said, I just wanted it to be a choice. That if our kids wanted to wear them, they could wear them. If they didn't want to wear them, they weren't being forced to wear them. And so with that came me going to school board meetings and just kind of observing and watching. I never really got up and spoke much. I think I've only gotten up one time and have spoken at a school board meeting, but I just observed a lot. And what I observed is that we really had a lack of representation of mothers on the board. People who actually had kids in the school and were dealing with the issues on a day-to-day basis. And so I started kind of preparing myself, and like I said, it was a 2-year process. I kind of did some training on what does it look like to run for school board? What do you do on a school board? And then I remember distinctly, I was listening to, I think it was an interview with Lauren Boebert from Colorado, the representative from Colorado. And someone asked her, why are you doing this? You've got like 3 kids at home and 3 boys. And why are you doing this? And she said, it's not necessary until it's necessary. And that really resonated with me. And I thought, okay, it is necessary that I run for school board. And I'm in a time in my life where I've got a daughter who's at college, and I've got one at home who's in high school, and I'm not as busy as I usually am. And I thought, okay, I can do this. And I really felt called to do it. I'm a very strong Christian, and I really felt like the Lord was telling me it's necessary for you to do this. So I stepped into it, and that's why I'm doing it.
I will just say, I don't want to editorialize too much, but of anyone I've ever seen run for a local office, I think you have to be among the most dedicated, because I remember watching you speak at the Conservative Patriots for Texas meetings back, I guess, in the fall. You've been running for this for a while, and you've really been putting in the
I
effort.
have.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I have. And I'm very much a planner. So I wanted to start early. And like I said, it wasn't a decision I just made all of a sudden. I've really been contemplating this for 2 years. And then it was actually July of this last year, I filed for my treasurer and I got the ball rolling. So I have stuck with it, dedicated. We're in the home stretch now. So
Absolutely. That has to feel good after all the work you've put in.
it does.
Well, let's talk about your priorities if you're elected. What are the top issues you see facing AISD, and how are you going to address those if you get elected?
Well, my top three issues, my main thing is I went to my slogan, if you will, or my platform is partnering with parents. And I really felt like when I was first going to those school board meetings and listening to people speak and watching things, I kind of felt like parents were not being listened to. Now, I have to say, now, 2 years later, I really see that the district is really trying to involve parents and listen to parents. I've seen a shift in the last 2 years, which makes me very happy. But I still, I kind of felt like parents weren't being listened to. And there were many times that they would say, well, parents just don't care. And I remember saying to one of the board members, have you asked the parents? Because you're assuming we all feel that way, and that's not true. And so I really wanted, one of my main things is to empower parents to take their rightful role back into their child's education. I believe that a lot of parents have, from what I've observed, and I substitute taught last year in AISD, and my observations in the classroom were the main thing was behavior and of the students, and that parents have just kind of checked out in a way, distracted, not paying attention. And, I believe that parents are the single most important influence in a child's life. And so I want to engage the parents. I want to listen to the parents. I want to be that board member that says, what are you concerned about? What can we do different? What can we help you understand? So that's my first thing is empowering parents, engaging parents, getting them back into their child's classroom, and what does that look like? Well, I actually was talking to a vice principal, and she said to me, I would love to do parenting classes. She said, I think a lot of parents don't know how to be parents, and some of them have never been modeled how to be parents. I think that's a great idea. I would love that. That you are the parent, you can, make you can say yes, you can say no, you can set limits, you can set bedtime, kind of taking the parent's power back. Um, the second thing is distractions in the classroom. And the things I'm thinking about the most are Chromebooks, cell phones, dress code. And I'm living this right now. Chromebooks were necessary. They were a necessity during COVID. I understand that. That's how we did it. But we need to get away from the heavy use of Chromebooks. It is a lot. And I'm not saying that all the teachers are doing that. I have some teachers that my daughter has that don't use them that much. And then I have some that rely on it heavily. I just think there needs to be more of a balance of the use of Chromebooks. Cell phones. I am in no way in favor of taking away kids' cell phones. My daughter has a cell phone. My daughter texts me from school. I want to know what's going on. But when she's in that classroom, I want her paying attention to what's going on in that classroom. And so I really want there to be some kind of standard where phones are up during the class time. They put them in their backpack. When you're in the classroom, they stay in your backpack. When you're out of that class and you're walking to your next one, you can get it out. You can have it out at lunch but the classroom has to be a place of learning, and cell phones are a huge distraction. And then my last thing is communication and transparency. And I just feel like the district um, has not been, I don't think they've purposely not been communicating or transparent. I just think that there are many things they could have talked about and come forth with instead of kind of firestorms starting and disgruntled parents, really raising a lot of, I don't know, their voices a lot. I just feel like the district needs to communicate more to parents about what's going on in the school, what they're doing, what they're not doing. And then when things are coming out that the district is like, yeah, no, that's not right or that's not true, then speak to that. Sometimes the silence suggest something otherwise. And I have said this many times. I really think y'all need to come out and be more vocal and get your point across that you want to make. Also, I've done a lot of research and I have made a lot of phone calls and talked to a lot of people at the district trying to find out information. And I just think for a mom, it's they have been more than willing to answer all of my questions and so friendly and helpful. But, it'd be nice if they kind of put some stuff out instead of us having to go to them and dig, that they would present it and kind of be more forthright. So that's kind of just some things I've experienced and things that I've seen. And those are my main points that I'm focused on.
Sure. Well, I think we have to address the elephant in the room when this is a school board race. And that is the things we've been hearing pretty much all over the state now. And, well, for that matter, all over the country as well, which is the issue of some things that parents and students have been finding in school libraries and curriculums that are just, shall we say, a little troubling, and in some cases, very, very troubling. So, as a candidate for the AISD Board of Trustees, how do you feel about that issue, and what do you think the board's role needs to be in addressing those concerns from parents, students, and community members?
Well, I with the library books, I do know. Okay, I believe that parents have the ultimate say in what their child can read. I know that's what my husband and I have always done. When my girls have come to us and said, we want to read this book, we found this book, my husband and I would always research it and look at it. And I understand not all kids have that. But what the district has done, what AISD has done just this year, is when a child checks out a book, the parent is sent an alert that says, hey, your child checked out a book from the library. Now, it does not give the name of the book, it does not give the author of the book, but it does alert the parent and say, your child has checked out a book. You need to follow up with your child. And, there has to be some responsibility on the parents. And I like this, what they're doing, that they're saying, hey, we're keeping you informed that your child was in the library today. They did check out this book. And then the child, then the parent can say to the kid, hey, I got a notice. What did you check out today? And then that's the decision at home with the parent and the child of what they checked out. I am not for pervasively vulgar books in the library at all. And I know there are some principals that have told me they have gone in themselves and pulled books off their shelves in some of the elementary schools here in town. And I know that the school is really trying to get rid of those pervasively vulgar, and they don't want that. And they've also set up a system. I was actually part of that discussion this past summer about what do we do when a parent has a problem with a book? What steps can they go through to do that? I can give an example of what happened to my daughter junior year at Tascosa. They were reading A Time to Kill, which is a very graphic, um, true crime story. Now, my daughter, again, this was junior year, she did not really tell me what she was reading in class. And, this was before, I guess you could say, I was really awake. Um, and I didn't realize how much that book affected her. And it was very scary for her because, it kind of hit close to home for her. And, that would be an example of, I know moving forward, if that is going to be a book for my daughter, junior year, my other daughter coming up in Tascosa, she will not be reading that book. And so as a parent, I have a right to go to that teacher and say to her, this is written in the AISD policy. Hey, I don't want my kid reading this book. Can you find a replacement for this book that my daughter can read? And the teachers are supposed to find replacements for the kids to read. And so there's been a situation even this year with my daughter at school where there were some books I did not want her reading, and I asked for alternatives, and I got an alternative. So they have been more than willing to work with me, listen to me, and understand my point of view. And then I know there is in that policy that if a parent or a community member decides that there is a book in the AISD library that they would like removed, there is a process they can go through to have that book removed. And I know a committee will meet and make that decision.
Well,
So,
I will ask on the example you gave for your daughter.
yes.
You seem like you're somebody who is very informed. You do your research and you're very involved. I mean,
Yes.
you said you did a lot of research running for this job, even. So,
Yes.
how much of this do you think is up to the school board to educate parents on what their rights are? Do you think that has to play a role in this issue?
Well, one of the roles of the school board is to communicate with the community. And that is one of the main roles of the school board. And so, yes, I believe like a lot of people don't know that policy is out there. And, I knew about it because I was part of the committee that met and kind of went over this policy. So, yeah, I think this is something, this right here, that they could go out and communicate and say, hey, parents, this is what we're doing with library books. These are the rights you have as a parent. And see, that has not been communicated. And so that's a perfect example of something they could come out and say, are you aware that if you have this problem? I think they kind of, sometimes I feel like they're more on the defensive than on the offensive. And I feel like if they were more like, hey, this is our policy, these are the rights you have, you can do this, but they don't. And that's what I think would help tremendously with understanding between parents and the library and the teacher and all of that. So, yeah, I mean, that's a great way to communicate things.
Well, I will switch gears for just a second and ask you this question before we get into the fun stuff. With the school board, I think, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but just generally speaking, AISD makes up the largest percentage of the property tax bill for a lot of people who live in Amarillo. It varies depending on where you're at, if you're in the college district or the city limits or something like that. But regardless, you're paying a lot of taxes to AISD. The legislature says we might get some kind of property tax relief this year. We're going to have to wait and see on that. But as far as you're concerned as a candidate for the AISD Board of Trustees, do you think the school board has any role to play outside of whatever relief might be given from the legislature to reduce this property tax bill? And if so, how should the school board go about doing that?
I don't know. I have been told, I've asked this question and, I've been told different things. And, I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I'm truly going to understand all of it until I get into it and I can see it and lay my eyes on it and understand it myself. Because, I've been told, well, we're really kind of told what the tax rate is, and then we're told that, we have to say it a certain way. Like we were at some meeting, and I probably should even say it because I'm not going to say it correctly. But it was something like, the Texas legislature had to told them that they had to communicate it a certain way. So I do feel like there are many federal and state regulations that control our board a lot. And I think we are handicapped locally. I really do. I think there's a lot of things that I wish we could do more locally, but I think the state has a lot of say, and I think that includes with the taxes too.
Sure. Well, I said that was going to be the last policy question, but I will ask one more since we have a little bit of time.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, as a school board trustee, you're going to have some say over curriculum and issues like that, help the students get from point A to point B as far as their education's concerned. But, one of the ultimate goals of people who are graduating from these high schools in Amarillo, either, going to college right out of school, whether that's AC or WT or another university, or even going into the military or going into a trade program or straight into the workforce or something like that. So how can the Board of Trustees help further foster that preparation for college success, workforce success, military success, whatever the student's path is once they get out of high school?
Once they get out of high school?
Yeah, preparing them for graduating, I guess.
Preparing them for it. Well, I really do I can only speak from like my experience that I've seen with my daughter because she went through AISD, the high school years. And I can tell you, what I really like about AISD, I have visited Amtech, and I think it's incredible for those kids that don't want to go to college. They are definitely teaching different trades and stuff that, those kids, plumbing, electrician, car mechanic, diesel mechanic, all those kinds of things. I think that is a great thing that they have set up for those kids that don't want to go off to a 4-year university. The other thing that I really like that they do is they have the AP classes, they have the dual credit classes, they have the on-ramps, which is where they contract with the University of Texas. And that I can say firsthand what that has done for my daughter. She graduated with almost 30 hours, credit hours, before she enrolled at Texas Tech. So right now she's really considered hour-wise a junior, although we're not pushing that. We're like, take your time, it's fine. But I I personally, from what I've seen with my own daughter in her graduation, they really did prepare her for the future. I know she had a friend that graduated and he thought he wanted to be an engineer, but he actually decided that he wanted to be a car mechanic, and he went to the NASCAR car school and now has a job at Pantex. Came back and he's working at Pantex. I think that's so cool, that he didn't go off to a 4-year university. And so what I have seen is AISD is doing a good job, especially offering those upper level courses to those kids. I can tell you that at Tascosa, when my oldest daughter took her AP research and seminar classes, you take those your junior and senior year, they really teach you the task of research and then presenting. For her senior year, she had to present a project. She said that class single-handedly has been the best thing for her in her college courses. It has helped her really understand how to do research, how to write papers, how to dig for information. So I do feel that, especially from what I've experienced, and even with my daughter at De Zavala, and then she's now at Tascosa, they really are trying to prepare these kids for the next generation, the next things in life. And they offer different pathways of doing that. And I like that.
Well, we will get into some of the fun questions now. We've changed things up a little bit this year on these candidate interviews.
Okay.
Because, in the past, we've just sat here and peppered y'all with policy questions. And the truth is people go vote on May 6th, then that's the last thing they think about it. And they don't think about the people who they're voting for and electing, and they don't think about the fact that win or lose, Rob and Leah, you are going to be the neighbor for a lot of these people who, live in the city, and you go to church together and you shop at the same stores, right? And so
Yes.
we all are in a community, and we all should get to know each other a little bit better. So this year we have a few get to know you questions, and if you're ready, these might be some of the most controversial things you have to answer this year. So
Okay.
if you're ready, we'll just go ahead and jump right in.
Sure.
Okay. What was your first job?
My first job. I actually worked, it was the summer after I graduated from high school, and I worked on 6th Street at the La Baby shop. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but it was a specialty baby store, and that was my first job.
What is your favorite restaurant in Amarillo, and what's your go-to order when you go there?
Okay, this is easy. It's El Tejaban, and it is the 3 taco dinner with asada beef. That's my favorite.
This is going to be the toughest question, and I'm afraid it might lose you some votes, so you might have to be kind of careful the way you answer this. But
Okay.
what's your favorite mascot from all of the Amarillo ISD schools? Which school has the best mascot?
Has the best, oh gosh, out of all the schools?
Of all the schools, yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, I'm sorry, I'm kind of biased. I can't help it. I mean, I do love the Tascosa Rebel. And I do like the Days of Allah Wolf. I really do. I love the way Days of Allah does the Way of the Wolf, and that wolf has really beautiful eyes. So I'm sorry. I have to go with those two.
Sure. Well, finally, what's your favorite thing about Amarillo?
My favorite thing about Amarillo. Well, I've lived here all my life. I was born here. I would say I like how friendly people are, and I love that we're a tight-knit community, and we still have those Christian conservative values. I know they're trying to be shaken a little bit, but I just love how, a lot of people say, well, we're in the Bible Belt and all of that. And I love that. I'm proud of that. And I love how sweet and kind everyone is in Amarillo. And when something happens, the community always comes together. And that's what I love about Amarillo.
Absolutely. Well, we really do appreciate you speaking with us tonight. And for anyone listening to this who is still undecided, why don't you go ahead and give them your elevator pitch and tell them why you're the person that they need to elect to the school board this year?
Okay. Well, I'm a mom, and I'm for all you parents out there, I'm going through the same thing you're going through. If you're concerned about the Chromebook, so am I. If you're concerned about the, dress code, so am I. If you're concerned about the length of the school day, me too. It's long, pick up, the drop off, all of those things. And that, I'm seeing and living this every day, just like you are. And we just need more mama bears on the school board. We need the intuition that a mom has. We need the expertise that a mom has. And we need mothers up there that can represent our children and do what's best for the kids.
Absolutely. Well, Rob and Leah, we really do appreciate you speaking with us tonight. May 6th, it's just around the corner, so you still have some time to research. But for the people who are listening to this, by this point, you need to be making some decisions on who you're going to support. And so we hope that you got the chance to know Robin a little bit better tonight and decide if she's the person who you want representing you on the school board. But either way, Robin, again, we're so appreciative of you spending this time with us tonight, and we wish you all the best in your campaign.
Okay, thank you so much.